For the past 8 years, this kung fu master has been wearing 25-kilogram shoes on his feet. Even with them on, he can make his enemies tremble. Now imagine what would happen if he took them off. This is the essence of our story today. At the beginning of the tale, we see a kung fu master named Wulin. He belonged to an ancient Chinese clan known for having legs as strong as iron. For the first time in his life, he had come to a big city. Suddenly, some thugs ran past and knocked over a child who was eating ice cream. Seeing this, Wulin chased after them to help. These thugs were actually there to kill someone, but Wulin stopped them just to get the child's money back for the ice cream. When the thugs attacked him, Wulin did not back down. Being a skilled kung fu warrior, he single-handedly defeated them all. In the end, he emerged victorious and also saved the life of a wealthy man named Jiang Li. The man offered Wulin some money as a reward, but he refused. Instead, he returned to the child and bought him a new ice cream. Suddenly, several cars surrounded him from all sides. Their leader, Jiang Li, stepped out and hugged Wulin. Jiang Li was also a kung fu warrior who now ran a bodyguard company. Wulin and Jiang Li had trained together under the same master as children. They grew up together, but Jiang Li eventually moved to the city and got caught up in the glamour of wealth, forgetting their master's teachings. Later, it is revealed that Jiang Li did not leave the village by choice. One day, he made a mistake during training, and their master expelled him. Wulin then showed him their master's ashes and informed him that their master had passed away. Upon hearing this, Jiang Li broke down in tears. The next day, they both went to Jiang Li's company. During security checks, Wulin was asked to remove his shoes as they were made of iron. However, Jiang Li knew the story behind them, so he allowed Wulin to enter. Jiang Li had come to Jiang Li to hire a bodyguard for his daughter. Jiang Li demonstrated the strength of his men, but Jiang Li was more interested in Wulin. Eventually, Wulin agreed because his master had taught him to sacrifice everything to protect the weak. The next morning, Wulin met Jiang Li's spoiled daughter, Fei Fei. She mistook him for a thief and, out of fear, accidentally dropped her towel. When she realized Wulin was her bodyguard, she tried to get rid of him by offering money. However, Wulin was firm in his principles. Fei Fei even tried to scare him with a fake gun, but it had no effect on Wulin. Later, they went to a mall, where Wulin kept following Fei Fei closely. Fei Fei then saw some thugs harassing a girl and immediately slapped their leader. The clever girl being harassed then lied, saying, "Brother, why would I slap you for no reason? That guy over there sent me to do it." The gang then turned their attention to Wulin and prepared to beat him up. However, Wulin said, "I don't even know this girl." The thugs once again went after Fei Fei, and Wulin simply smiled, watching their game of cat and mouse. After enjoying the scene for a while, Wulin finally stepped in and scared the thugs away. That night, he dreamt that his father had thrown him off a cliff. This actually happened when he was just 7 years old. His own father had tried to kill him. Wulin never knew why, but his father had always said that sacrifices must be made for success. Meanwhile, we see a gangster named Mr. Fu, who was once Jiang Li's boss. Now, Fu wanted to kill Jiang Li because Jiang Li had evidence of all his crimes. Just then, a fortune teller told Fu that he would soon die. Enraged, Fu shot him on the spot. "If you knew the future, you wouldn't have said such nonsense in front of a gangster," he mocked. The next day, Wulin and Fei Fei went to a restaurant. While Fei Fei was eating, Wulin stood beside her, keeping a close watch on everyone. Suddenly, he grabbed a waitress, believing she was about to attack Fei Fei. Fei Fei got angry and stormed off to the bathroom, but Wulin dragged her outside. On the way home, they started arguing again. Some people saw them and thought Wulin was harassing the girl, so they stepped in to help Fei Fei. Taking advantage of the situation, Fei Fei ran away, but she was immediately kidnapped by the same waitress. Wulin's suspicion had been right all along. He immediately chased the car, jumping off a bridge and landing on top of it. However, he lost his balance and fell off. On his second attempt, he jumped straight onto the front of the car. He bravely fought the masked kidnappers and successfully rescued Fei Fei, bringing her back home safely. Once home, Fei Fei asked him, "How did you know that waitress was planning to kidnap me?" Wulin replied, "A person can lie with words, but their body language reveals their true intentions." Fei Fei then opened up, saying that she had always had bodyguards since childhood, and they never let her do what she wanted. That's why she hated bodyguards. But Wulin seemed different from the others. That night, before sleeping, Fei Fei looked at a picture of her family and cried while remembering her mother. Meanwhile, Gangster Fu sent one of his men to Jiang Li. He wanted Jiang Li's help in getting rid of Jiang. Jiang Li felt something was wrong, but still agreed. When Jiang Li first arrived in the city, it was Mr. Fu who gave him food and helped him start his business. Because of this, he felt indebted to Fu. The next day, Jiang Li met Wulin and boasted about his influence. He claimed to know all the powerful people in the city and said he could make anything happen. Then, he ordered Wulin to stop protecting Jiang's daughter, Fei Fei. But Wulin flatly refused. For the first time in their lives, the two brothers stood against each other. Jiang Li was still angry at Wulin because their master had chosen Wulin over him. The master always believed that Lin was the true kung fu warrior, but now Jiang Li wanted to prove that he was an equal match. It was time to decide once and for all who was the better fighter. A fierce battle broke out between the two, but neither could overpower the other as they were equally skilled. However, Jiang Li had always been an expert in a special technique. With a single punch, Lin was sent flying into a wall and collapsed to the ground. In the end, Jiang Li declared that they were no longer brothers and walked away. Lin knew that Fei Fei's life was in danger, so he took her to a secret hideout. The two spent several days training in kung fu together. Then, Lin revealed a shocking secret. His shoes weighed 25 kilograms each. He had worn them for the past 8 years to become incredibly strong. He said that the day he took them off, no one would be able to match his power. One day, Jiang Li's men discovered Lin and Fei Fei's location. However, Jiang knew that his men wouldn't last even a second against Lin in a fair fight, so he armed them with heavy chains to capture Lin. They launched a surprise attack at night. Lin and Fei Fei fled into the jungle, but the goons continued chasing them. Taking advantage of the chaos, two thugs kidnapped Fei Fei. Lin ran after them, but in his haste, he accidentally stepped on the chains. Now, not only was he burdened by his heavy shoes, but his legs were also shackled. Still, he refused to give up and fought with all his strength. He defeated several of the thugs, but in the end, they managed to tie his legs and slam him into a wall. One of them dragged him to a field where Jiang Li stood watching as his own brother took his last breaths. However, instead of mourning, Jiang suppressed his sorrow with rage. He delivered a powerful punch to Lin's chest, and his men buried Lin before leaving. Due to the heavy rain, the ground turned to mud. Suddenly, Lin crawled out of the grave. It turned out that his heart was on the right side of his chest, which is why Jiang Li's punch had failed to kill him. Determined, Lin returned home. For the first time in 8 years, he removed his iron shoes. Now he had become an unstoppable warrior. Lin changed his appearance, put on a suit, and walked into Jiang Li's office. Hundreds of Jiang's men attacked him, but since Lin had shed 50 kilograms of extra weight, his speed had increased dramatically. No one could catch him. Using only his legs, he defeated countless goons. In the end, he emerged victorious. Then, he entered a room where Mr. Fu, Jiang Li, Fei Fei, and Shan were waiting. Fu taunted Lin, asking if he wasn't afraid of death. Lin calmly replied, "Sacrifice is necessary for success." Hearing this, Fu was stunned because these were the same words he had said before killing his own son. Many years ago, Fu and Shan had worked together, but Fu had betrayed Shan and handed him over to the police. As a result, Shan's wife died. Since then, Shan had been waiting for revenge. Fu had once loved his son Lin deeply. However, one day, he saw Lin scare away a wild animal just by glaring at it. A fortune teller had then told Fu that his own son would be the cause of his death. Out of fear, Fu tried to kill Lin when he was just a child. Now, seeing Lin alive in front of him, Fu laughed. The prophecy had come true. Without hesitation, he fired a gun at Lin, but Jiang Li jumped in front of the bullet. He was tired of being Fu's puppet. He declared that he wanted to fight Lin alone and test his newfound power. A fierce battle began, but this time, Jiang Li had come prepared with special gloves. As the fight progressed, Lin's true strength started to show. Just as Jiang was about to lose, Fu shot him. As he lay dying, Jiang Li told Lin that he must survive and take their master's place so that the iron leg kung fu art does not vanish. Now only Lin and Fu remained. Facing death, Fu tried to negotiate, but it was too late. Lin was about to finish him off, but suddenly stopped. His master had taught him never to attack an unarmed opponent. He refused to stoop to Fu's level and spared his life. In the end, Lin climbed a mountain and scattered Jiang Li's ashes into the wind, bidding his brother and friend a final farewell. Do you have a friend you love like a brother? Share your thoughts in the comments.